Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Freemasons, while drinking an old-fashioned. If you're not already a subscriber, please hit that subscribe button now. Platforms other than YouTube tend to block some of our content. Subscribe now to get up-to-date videos and shorts as they release. Now, enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the Old-Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where we talk all things Freemasonry while drinking an old-fashioned. I'm Brian.
And I'm Russ.
I'm Dave.
When Dave's here, we talk about Masonic ed or history-related stuff. But more than that, gentlemen, lend us your ear. We are going to talk about women in Freemasonry. But before you click off, give us a thumbs up because we do not, we are not promoting this. But we're going to tell you a little story, shall we? So we'll jump right in and we'll give you our commentary for this Masonic Education Monday. So, in 1735, Lodge number 44 in Doneraile, Ireland, they usually met at a brother, Lord Doneraile's home, who was the master of his lodge, which was very common at the time. They'd meet in cellars or homes or taverns or whatnot. So the lodges that we know of now, that wasn't a norm. So in that home, his sister also lived with him, Elizabeth St. Leger. As the meeting was about to start, Elizabeth hid in the storage room that was basically adjoining the lodge room. Now, we don't know why she was there. Maybe she was picking up some canned goods and had a little nap. Who knows? But whatever you think, we're about to tell you the rest of the story, as Paul Harvey would say. So according to the story, while the meeting was underway, she had pulled a brick from the wall and watched them confer a fellowcraft degree. Okay? When the meeting was getting close to closing up, Elizabeth had apparently realized what she had done and or seen. Oh, very scary. And in her attempt to kind of get out of the area and not get caught, she knocked over some boxes. So the story goes that the tiler heard some ruckus, sounded the alarm, and everyone came out to confront her. So the story says her brother, the master of the lodge, Lord Doneraile, appeared just in time to, as the story goes, to save her life. Now, I don't know if it was going to go that far. That seems a little far-fetched. It seems very movie-esque to me, but this is the story. So after questioning her, the members reassembled to kind of deliberate what to do. Basically, picture this. Oh my gosh, a woman saw us confer the second degree. And nowadays would be like, well, okay, that sucks, right? But what did she really see? Okay? So the story goes, after 2 hours of a heated debate, she was given two options, either to submit to receiving the first 2 degrees of Masonry, or she would be killed. This is the story. Look in the link. You can find out it's from a Masonic short talk. So the story goes that Miss St. Leger, after hearing the debate, gladly accepted. Well, of course, if she was only given 2 options, as the story goes, you can either be a Mason, which is a problem for lots of reasons, or we can kill you, right? So the story goes on, now Elizabeth was so taken by the lessons that she learned in Freemasonry that she spent the rest of her life and her wealth to help the Masonic poor. So this is the Masonic short talk that we are kind of recapping. Now, Russ has been kind of tight-lipped to this deal because we smell a lot of nonsense. So here's what we think's true. We believe the year was true, and we believe that somebody had a lodge meeting in Ireland. We believe that this person that had a lodge meeting in Ireland probably had a sister. We believe that this sister, that it's plausible, probably listened to a meeting. A lot of people did. They probably do now. Hence we wouldn't have Cowans and eavesdroppers, right? She probably pulled a brick and looked through there and said, oh my gosh, that seems boring, right? And so as she was dozing off, she didn't try to run. She had dozed off, and you know how it is when your head pops. She had knocked a box over, and the tiler heard and said, oh my God. So the tiler, I'm sure he was extremely fit and agile. He rushed out and grabbed her. So when he grabbed her, he's like, hey, what's up, Elizabeth St. Leger? What are you doing? I'm going to tell your brother. Brother comes around, it's like, sis, what are you doing? Ma, sis is in the basement. So there's this whole thing going on. There's this whole story going on. So here's my problem. Let's say all of this story is true.
Here is what I think happened.
Okay, tell me what you think.
She basically said, what I saw, you guys are a bunch of losers. And I'm going to tell everybody you guys are a bunch of losers, because that was the most boringest thing I've ever seen in my life. And she went like that to her brother, and yeah.
He just showed a sign of masonry on his head. He just showed a sign of masonry. So here's what I think is plausible. I think all of that, she probably heard it. And somebody correct me, there are female Masons, not in this country. So England allows that.
I believe the Grand Lodge of California.
They do? Born women?
I don't know. But I did have somebody
There's
tell
some
me...
Californians listening here. Help us out.
Please correct us.
Help us out.
My understanding is that there may be some lodges under the Grand Lodge of California that are now allowing women. I need to do some more research. I probably shouldn't have said anything.
Well, hold that. We're going to come back to that. We're going to talk about how we feel. So let's assume all of this is true. Okay? In the United States, let's say this happened today. Okay? First of all, we would never... If this was a lodge room and somebody's listening in, oh my gosh, it's so exciting. But if it's a tiled lodge and it was a female, first of all, we wouldn't be making a female a Mason. No. There are real reasons for that, right? All Masons know that. Secondly, so let's say it was just a dude listening in. And we said, oh my gosh, you've heard our first 2 degrees. Heaven forbid. Now we're going to force you to be a Mason or die. That's a whole nother problem, because we don't want anybody to join our fraternity unless it's because they want to.
Their own free will and accord.
Right? We that is not our thing.
Right.
So we don't want to force people in. If we were forcing people in, folks, we'd never have a membership problem. Right? I don't know that we shouldn't be doing it. Maybe more people should be listening to tiled meetings, just not females.
So it doesn't change the facts here. But my understanding when I read this story a while back was that she had fallen asleep and then the meeting happened around it, right? Like, she didn't go into the meeting and fall asleep. She was hiding
because she didn't
in the meeting.
She didn't want to ditch. Right. She just ditched chores.
She woke up and there was a meeting happening in the next door.
I mean, everyone takes naps in a basement behind boxes.
Yeah. You don't?
Maybe this was a story of Cinderella's daughter and she was put in a basement. Maybe she was a bad sister.
Fair enough. Fair enough. But my understanding is that she overheard it, but not in some type of...
that's her story and she's sticking to it.
Fair. But she woke up to it. And it was just there. Right. And now when I read it, they didn't threaten her with death, but this is 1735, and Masonry official Masonry is fairly new, so I don't know.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know that I would hope that they wouldn't do that. Secondly, we love the ladies in our lives, and the ladies in our lives we would never want to be a Mason. That is your kind of thing. We've got our own thing to do.
Fair.
We're speaking for the ladies in our lives.
Yes.
But I'm going to speak for me and not my brothers here. Even if Masonry would allow, in the United States, in Kansas, if you would allow women to join today, I'm out. This is a fraternity. The ladies have... Hey, if men were allowed to join the Red Hat Society or... LOS or Daughters of Denial, whatever that is, I'm not in it. That's their thing, right? Sorority, fraternity.
Correct.
Right? And this isn't a political thing. It's just, let's go by definition, right? The other side of it is, I would never be okay with somebody coming up and they said, hey, I'm joining. Why are you joining? Well, it's my dad or granddad made me join. They made you, they want, no, they said I wouldn't get my college fund if I didn't join. Yeah, I got a problem with that too. And not so much with the young man joining because he doesn't know any difference. It's with the people that are forcing that in. And again, if that was a thing, we wouldn't have membership issues because, you have a son, I've got a son-in-law, but throwing that down their throat is not what it's about. If it's not in their heart, right, and that's most important, it defeats the purpose. Right. So tell us what you think. One, was a woman made a Mason? What do you got?
No, I really wanted to weigh in. I don't necessarily have a problem with there being maybe a female lodge. That's a whole other conversation we can have. But the reason that I would object, other than the allegation that I took, to having a woman as a Mason or bringing a woman into Masonry is men. We are different when women are in the room, right? We aren't the same person when women are in the room. And
like the shrine.
Like the shrine.
What I love about Masonry is it's a fraternity where I know I can go in and it's pure. I can be myself, and I'm very happily married. I'm not worried about what I would do, but men in general are different when women are around, especially single men. Sometimes not, doesn't matter. But I like the fraternity.
Lodges are escape.
Purity of it.
Lodges are escape.
Right. Thank you.
It's our escape, and it's some of you aren't Masons. Oh, what Dave's saying is he gets there and he gets to while out. No, we all just like ladies listening. When you're with your girlfriends, you got a different pressure. You speak different. It's like, oh my, and you get to talk about what you want to talk about. Our brotherhood and our fellowship, it's just different. What we understand each. I don't claim to understand women, right? And women don't claim to understand men. You think we're pretty simple, but we're not as simple as you think. But we like the simple things in life of just that fellowship, because we can also self-police, especially Masons. We have a way to self-police ourselves. And we think that if you start to add what we would call an outside element in, that would just F it up.
It just changes the dynamic in a way that we don't want to go.
Yeah, it's not.
I wouldn't want to be a part of that.
Right. Yeah, that's not. So,
and it's nothing against, it's nothing about, men being superior or women or anything like that. It's just a separation of the two.
And it's by definition.
We like that.
Yeah. And again, we're not trying to encroach on anything with female orders or anything like that. And we're not, and I know people want us to touch on this, and we're not going to even go into born and not born and all of that. We'll let the Grand Lodges decide all of that and the lodges on their own, but that's we don't get political here. So thanks. What do you got?
Human nature will just decide that long term. It will. That will work.
It will. The problems tend to solve themselves in Masonry, for sure. So thanks for watching the Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast. Cheers.
Thanks.
What did you think of this episode? To continue to promote Freemasonry, hit that like button now. Don't forget to smash that subscribe button and give us a comment. The Old Fashioned Masonic Podcast, where real Masons talk Freemasonry. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and give us a comment.